ready to talk more football with you guys. That's just one of my favorite things to do, as y'all know. So today we're gonna have a couple things to talk about. And one particular fun activity that I'm gonna try to get the community to engage with. So I'll post this at the end of the video or sometime early on in the video. But anyway, so today we're going to continue to talk about NFL draft pick discussions. That seems to be, it's not surprising. It seems to be the most popular topic of discussion so far. I mean, it makes sense. The NFL draft is literally in like 2 weeks. Next thing on the list, we're going to discuss what the Saints offense as of right now, because of course things will change as soon as the draft finishes up. But we're going to talk about what they will look like entering next season. We're going to go by each position, what their strengths will be, what their weaknesses might be, etc. And then last but not least, we're also going to cover some of my personal top 5 favorite Saints games, not including the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game from 2009. Now, I'll touch up on that on why momentarily. And of course, I'll add some honorable mentions for that. Once again, my opinion. So, and if you have any of yours, and this will be today's very first Dadders episode question, is what is your favorite Saints game? And you can reply in the comments below. So, all right. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the draft. So, as y'all know, I've been covering my personal suggestions in the last 2, maybe 3 episodes now. But it's a lot going on because I'm hearing trade rumors. I'm seeing this and that. So I'm just like, I'm trying to follow one thread while also trying to follow another thread, because I mean, some threads you gotta like tread carefully because they end up being false. And there's a lot of rumors going out there to where people saying, "Oh, the Saints are likely to get Sanders. Oh, we're likely to get Cam Ward. Oh, we're likely to get Jackson Dart. Okay, who we getting?" So it's like I have to really read about things and see what sounds legit. And most of the time, I'm always looking at Nick Underhill because he's the GOAT of Saints sports media. So, and he's very, very reliable, along with Mike Triplett, Ian Rappaport, all those people. So there's a few local podcasters I've listened to that I will tune in and see if they might have something of interest. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. I mean, we're never right all the time, right? So, but anyhow, so I've been tuning into a lot of different news reports and whatnot. So right now, in the last day or two, I've seen a lot of trade rumors, or I wouldn't call it trade. I'm saying a lot of foot draft rumors saying that the Saints could possibly land Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to talk about that for a minute because, as y'all know, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he would be the best fit for this team. And on top of that, he's not going to start right away because we all know Derek Carr is going to be here for another season. Well, at least this season coming up. So, but I'm going to kind of dive into his pros and cons for a minute about how he could fit well with this team if we were to draft him. So I was reviewing some of his tape the other day, and now I'm not going to lie, he's very impressive. He's got some dang good accuracy. He's also can scramble when he wants to. My problem with him mainly is the attitude. I'm a kind of guy who believes that if you have a good attitude, you're gonna thrive well in the locker room. And I kind of actually know how that feels because I don't know if I told you all this. I used to play football back in high school. Now I know it's just high school, and people always say that, oh yeah, we all played in high school. Well, you know what? If you played in high school, then you should know having a good locker room without a toxic character really makes that locker room vibe. And I used to, a little backstory about me. So I played I was homeschooled all my life, and we had this little homeschool organization, and we had our own football team. Yes, we actually had a football team that went up against other private schools, mainly private schools. Now and then we might play a public school, but because we were kind of like in that tier level, like here in Louisiana, we have like three different tiers. We have the 1 tier, the 2 tier, and then the 3 tier. We were in the 3 tier. So occasionally, and this wasn't frequent enough, we occasionally took on some public school teams from New Orleans. Like for example, this for all you locals here, you might know about Brother Martin High School. Yeah, we took those guys on. Didn't win, but it was cool that we got to win up against them. Jesuit High School. Again, we didn't really beat those guys, but we played pretty well against them for the most part. Just a few examples locally here. Not for those who aren't local here, you may not know who they are, but I just suggest you Google it. So, but anyway, with that being said, like what I'm trying to say is like having a good locker room presence is essential because if you don't have a good locker room and you have this one, maybe 2 players that are just being an absolute jerk or just being toxic in general, it's going to kill the locker room vibe. When you have a good locker room vibe, you're going to have a good presence on the field. Like you have the confidence boost and the teamwork and all this and that. It's like it's essential. Shedeur Sanders, while I don't think he's completely toxic, I don't like the fact that he threw his own lineman under the bus. And I can't get on board that. That kind of now it didn't necessarily affect how the team played overall with Colorado because they actually did do better than the next season after having kind of a lackluster effort. Well, I wouldn't call it a lackluster. They had a really good offense, but they couldn't win games really. So, excuse me. But I'm just seeing like his character and it's like some people will say, well, he's just full of confidence. Well, yeah, every quarterback's going to have confidence. Like, look, for example, Drew Brees. The man was full of confidence, but he was never toxic. He was humble. He always came in with a good attitude. And why do you think the Saints won so many games under him? And even during seasons like our 3-year stretch of 7-9 seasons, we still had the top 10 best offense in the NFL. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's like he went in there with a good attitude, was humble. Even when the game was just not going the way we were hoping for, he was still humble about it. So like he kept on pressing on and he was just a good teammate altogether. Shedeur Sanders, while I'm not gonna be too harsh on him because he has yet to play in the NFL, but it's just like I hope that he can change that attitude. If he can, then great. Then like sign me up. I would welcome you with open arms. Now this is not me saying I don't want Sanders. To my opinion, I don't think he would be a good fit for our system, and here's why. Like our current system is unknown for one. Now it could change because we have Kellen Moore as our leader for the team, and he's the one we're going to be calling the plays, just like Sean Payton used to do. So it's like I'm not sure how he would fit in. Plus, he wouldn't be starting right away because Derek Carr will be starting this season. So he, at least on the bright side, he would probably just be, sitting behind Carr and just learning from him. Same thing with Rattler. But at the same time, like I mentioned in my other video, I would prefer that they give Rattler a shot. But at the same time, I might be going all over the place here, but what I'm trying to say here is that if we do draft Sanders, like I mentioned how we should draft Dart, let's give Rattler a shot, see if he works out. If that don't work out, then put in Dart, or in this case, put in Sanders. So that's how I see it. And as of right now, these are all just rumors because we don't until draft day comes by, we don't really know what's going on. We don't know who the Saints really want. Because I've also seen other reports, and this is from like mainly Nick Underhill, Mike Triplett, all of them. I'm hearing that an edge tackle is under consideration, which I'm not the biggest fan. But then again, that's usually never a popular pick, but at the same time, it would be a necessary pick because now depending on which side of the ball they're going for, I'm hoping it's offensive tackle because we could use more offensive linemen, as y'all saw last season. Our offensive line stinks, so but I mean our defensive line could use some help too. So it's like I guess I wouldn't say no to either one. But at the same time, if like say Ashton Gianti, who I mentioned in like episode 3 or something like that, if Ashton Gianti is on the board still by the time we pick at 9, take him. Just take him. Like we need all the running back help. We need all the receiver help we can get. You can build the O line like maybe in the second round or maybe third round because we have found some gems before in those 2 rounds. I just want us to like really like think about our current situation, and that's when like later in this video I'm gonna talk about the Saints' current offense and how we could improve it, what it may look like, etc. So, but anyway, continuing with the draft. So those are the rumors about Sanders. Now, and there's all this continuing I'm going to call it dissing, which is basically like they're just talking trash about another player. They're constantly talking trash about Jackson Dart and how he's just like a one-read quarterback. Now, I don't want to come off. Obviously, I'm going to be biased about him because I'm an Ole Miss fan. Y'all know that. But at the same time, it's like, did y'all bother to watch his games? Like that's my thing. It's like it's one thing for like. Someone made a good point. Like, did you watch any of Sanders' tape? Initially, I said no, but then I decided, you know what? It might be wise for me to go ahead and watch his tape so I can get a better overview about him. And I did just that, and it ended up being beneficial because it makes me see things more. It's like I personally believe that if you watch something, you haven't seen before, you're going to have a different opinion about things. And if you still have the same opinion, well, it just proves that you still watch it, you took some time to, like, study and analyze it, and then move on with your life. So that's how I feel about things. But in regards to Jackson Dart, I feel like a lot of people are kind of being a little bit too critical about him, about being a one-read kind of quarterback. I don't see that in him. I don't. I'm not sure. And some people, this one guy I saw was comparing him to Kenny Pickett, who currently sucks in the NFL, and he's a backup. Well, Kenny Pickett is not as good as Dart. Let's put that into perspective. Jackson Dart is a more superior quarterback to Kenny Pickett of all people. Like, come on, people. Like, Jackson Dart can run, make plays with his legs. He can throw the ball very well. He's very accurate. Like the only thing I can kind of see why people might call him a one-read quarterback is because he played under an RPO offensive system, which in most cases you're gonna get like a one-read for the most part. So. But he was able to spread the ball no matter what. Like, even if he saw the first read, didn't see nothing, he goes to his second read, blah, 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 all that stuff. It's like, I'm convinced that people didn't actually watch his tape because I'm just, it's like, why would you make such stupid remarks like that? Come on, people. So, but with that being said, like I said, I still personally prefer Jackson Dart over Sanders. But if Sanders happens to land in our laps come pick 9, and this is a big fingers crossed here, I would not say no because I think he would. I think he would be a good pickup. Do I think he would fit well with the team? Time will tell. I just hope that he keeps his attitude in check and that he also keeps his dad in the closet, if you know what I mean. Like that's the other thing with or Sanders is his dad is kind of a big mouth, and I mean a big mouth. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, big mouth. So, so he talks a lot, and my fear is that he's gonna. Like, some people say this is not his style, but I don't know. It's like when your own son is in the NFL, and look, I saw this with Lamar Ball, if y'all know who I'm talking about. This is the NBA. I saw this happen Lamar Ball and his son. I don't remember his son's name, but uh, NBA people will know who I'm talking about. Like his son was drafted first to the Lakers at one point, and then he had comments left and right, and he was driving everybody nuts because he was so critical about how the Lakers were treating his son. And then the Lakers traded him off to, I think it was the Pelicans first or Chicago, whichever came first. Um, and then after that, he went silent. We haven't heard from him ever again. So, but it was because of his dad. His dad got in the way, and he kept bashing the team and talking bad about them. That's what I'm afraid Deion Sanders is going to be like towards his son if he were to come here. That's my thing. Now, will it happen? I don't know. Only time will tell. But it's just one headache I would like to avoid personally. So, yeah. So, with that being said, overall, like there's not like there's a lot of chatter between Sanders and Dart being potential number 9 picks. Do I personally prefer either one at 9? Technically, no. And I mentioned this in my last video. I prefer we get a running back or a wide receiver. That's my suggestions. And because the Saints really do need another receiver, and like I mentioned before, Alvin Kamara is getting old. We really need another lineman. We need another running back. And I think Ashton Deontay would be a great fit. I mean, like I said, if he's there, you take him. No questions asked. Just take him. Because he might be the second coming of Mark Ingram, perhaps, or might be the second coming of Deuce McAllister, Pierre Thomas, all these former great Saints running backs, and of course Alvin Kamara himself. So, he would be perfect for us right now. While Alvin Kamara is still with us, he can instruct him on how to be a really good running back. That would be great, in my opinion. That's why I prefer us to go that route over us getting a quarterback. But if we were to actually get a quarterback, I wouldn't say no. Because, let's be honest here. Entering next season, in fact, we might as well go ahead and start talking about what the Saints look like enter next season. So I'm going to start listing the current starters. Now, if y'all catch something that I didn't catch that is not an actual starter, correct me in the comments below. But this is who I think is going to be in the Saints offense as of now. So I'll post this also in my video after I record it. So so far on the O-line, we have Eric McCoy. He's likely to be center. We have Cesar Ruiz, who's also a center, but also plays as guard. I mean, same thing with McCoy. Both of them do the same thing, basically. But Eric McCoy is more of the center than Cesar Ruiz. Then we have Dylan Raduns, who we just picked up. But I don't know if he will actually be a starter, so I put a question mark there as of right now. It could be somebody else that could take over. Who knows? Then we have Trevor Penning, tackle. And then, bear with me, I'm going to try to pronounce this dude's name. Telieze Fuega. I don't know if that's correct, how you pronounce it, but he's that Hawaiian guy who was actually pretty solid with us last year. Played really well, and he didn't get injured as much, which is great. So that's the line that might be our starters for next season. So then, obviously, Derek Carr starting quarterback, Alvin Kamara running back. So I don't know. I remember we had a fullback, but for some reason he's not on the Saints roster. So I just put in Kendre Miller as fullback, but he's also a running back as well. So that's probably not correct. But for some reason I couldn't find the fullback on this team, which is kind of weird as you think about it. But maybe they let him go, and maybe Kellen Moore's going to use somebody else as a fullback, because fullbacks are like running backs still, but they're not. But they're like right by. They're like in the middle between the quarterback and the running back on the O line, especially in the I formation. So anyway, with that being said, Chris Olave at wide receiver, obviously Rashid Shaheed, wide receivers slash special teams, Juwan Johnson, and then as a wide receiver 3, I put in Brandon Cooks because, well, he has the most experience, and plus he's definitely the better wide receiver 3 compared to everybody else that we currently got on the team. So this is who I think will be starting entering next season. Now, let's go ahead and start figuring out how or what the Saints offense could look like. And this is kind of picking back off my what I was about to talk about just a minute ago. So, so on paper, this doesn't look terrible. We know Chris Olave is a good playmaker. We know Rashid Shaheed is definitely a good playmaker. Juwan Johnson, he's okay at best. Brandon Cooks, my only problem is he's getting old. He's literally my age, 31 years old, and but he still has the speed. He's still a really reliable receiver where he can catch the ball. But the question is the O line. We know Eric McCoy. I think played a whopping 5 games last year, but he was constantly injured. So Cesar Ruiz, he played a good majority of last season, but he also was injured a lot last season. Dylan Raduns, he's new, and I don't even know if he's actually going to start. So, but let's say he does start. He wouldn't be the worst thing on that O line. Like he's actually pretty solid for the most part based off his performance. Trevor Penning was kind of a surprise last season because he stunk the year before in his rookie year. But as everybody should know, like everybody's going to either stink in their first year in the NFL or they might just take off like some players do. So maybe Trevor Penning finally found his stride. The only thing that I need him to work on is his stupid false starts or holding penalties. He's bad about that. And then Fuega, like I said, he's been solid. Like he hardly caused problems. He actually is pretty decent in his pass protection. He could probably do a little bit better. Well, actually, no. I think he's actually better with his run protection than his pass protection. So if he wants to work on his pass protection better, then that's my only comment I would have towards him. So with that being said, like overall, this O-line isn't bad, but my main concern is the injuries and also the penalties. Because last season we were the most penalized team in the NFL. Now, mainly that was mostly defense because they made a lot of stupid penalties like pass interferences, defensive holdings, etc. But the offense wasn't any better. So I hope they can correct that entering next season. I really hope they do because I don't know. So, but anyway, and then we got our quarterback Derek Carr, and as y'all know, I am not his biggest fan at all. Even though I met the guy now twice, I literally the first time I ran into him at Dick's Sporting Goods here in Metairie. And which is kind of hilarious. I was just, minding my own business. I was buying a brand new football, so I can play catch with my brothers. And the cash register lady said, "Well, Derek Carr's here." I'm like, "Wait, what?" So, and at the time, everybody was pretty excited about him. So I was excited about him too because beforehand I didn't follow Derek Carr very well. Before he became a Saint, but his stats kind of fooled me, and I'm going to be honest with you, it did really fool me because his stats didn't look so bad. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe we finally got ourselves a better quarterback than what we had previously. Well, not so much. It has yet to pan out, and now Derek Carr does have a good deep throw, like a deep pass, but he holds the ball too long. And look, every quarterback's going to hold the ball for a certain period of time, especially if they can't find anybody open. But it seems like Derek Carr just does not read the field very well. And you would think for someone who's 10, 12 years into the NFL now. You would think he got better by then. No, it's just the same old thing. He just doesn't read the field well. There'd be plays where Chris Olave was wide open and he misses him, or he was wide open, completely misses him. Juwan Johnson, and then other players that might have been wide open. Like it's like I don't know what he's doing. It's like what are you looking at? Either he panics and he takes a sack, or he dumps it up to Alvin Kamara for like 3-4 whopping yards total, maybe less than that, or 3 throws it away. It's like Derek Carr, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? So, it's mainly because of him that the Saints' offense really struggles. Sure, the O-line has been terrible. That's also a big factor here. And as I just listed all the starters, the starters sound good, but at the same time, like I said, the injuries have been an issue. And on top of that, the stupid penalty has not been helpful either. So, and there'd be days where they just have terrible pass protection. So Carr doesn't get a lot of time to throw in the pocket. But at the same time, Carr doesn't help when they do provide time, and he just stands there looking for a deep throw. I'm convinced he just looks for the deep pass all the time. That's all he wants to do. So it's just it's because of him that we just struggle to move the ball. And I literally was when I was looking up my top 5 favorite Saints games, and I'll cover that momentarily. I was watching Drew Brees just like he was in the pocket. He might hold for 2 seconds, but when he sees that his first read ain't there, he goes to the second read or maybe his third read, and he passes the ball to whoever's open, and that's what we need. I know not every quarterback's different in the NFL. They have their different skill sets, and some quarterbacks just simply don't pan out. And Derek Carr is that quarterback. Derek Carr is the actual one read kind of quarterback. He does not read the field well. He's always looking to his first read, which is mainly a deep ball, and then after that, nothing else happens. Which is why, entering this season, I don't have a lot of hope for this offense. I mean, unless Coach Moore changes things, and unless we draft really well coming up, this offense just does not scare anybody, at all. Sure, we got Brandon Cooks. He's reliable. He used to play for us, and I'm excited that he's back with us. But at the same time, it's just he's old, and he's also been injury prone the last 2-3 years with other teams. And then we got Juwan Johnson, who's a hit or miss, and then Rashid Shaheed, who is good, but he's also 27 years old, which is usually not a good thing for receivers. On top of that, he got injured last season. And then Chris Olave, his concussion issues is a concern. But like I said, this offense as of right now looks like a mess. And taking all that under the consideration, it's just we need to make some changes, obviously. And entering next season, I just don't expect us to be any good. Now, I would love, and I emphasize this, I would love to be wrong about this. I hope they just come out of the gates blasting everybody to bits, just like they did in the first 2 games of last season, and it just caught us by complete surprise, where they put 40-plus points on both the Panthers and the Cowboys. But then nothing else after that. It's just this Saints team is fool's gold in a sense. It's he's this team can have what it takes to be a good, competent team, but the injuries and the lackluster play efforts is what keeps them back. Now, I'm really hoping this is where Coach Keller comes in, and this is what I'm hoping for. My hope is that Coach Moore can really change how this offense looks, how it performs, all that, and find a way how to keep them healthy too. Because that's, like I said, that's the biggest issue is the O-line is just not healthy enough. So, but with that being said, it's it's not hopeful at the moment for the Saints, and I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here. It's just I'm realistic about the team that we've seen. This team play like garbage the last 4 years now, and we could be entering year 5. But like I said, I would love to be wrong about this because I love to win games, and I'm a diehard Saints fan. I hate seeing my Saints lose. If the Saints lose, then my whole mood is terrible. But the last 4 years have just like made me just think, look at games differently. It's just like, yeah, we suck. I'm gonna keep watching because I love my Saints to death, but I know we're gonna lose. So, but yeah. So like, the only positive thing is if we draft well and under Coach Moore's leadership, maybe, just maybe, this team could be what we think they could be. A pretty dang good team that can pass the ball around and have a really good offense. Because we saw how they were in the first 2 games of last season. And it's like, we do know how, like, if we had that going on for us all last season, we could have been in the playoffs by now. Like, the way we were playing that year, we were playing so well. And then everything fell apart after that, mainly because of injuries. And I don't like to admit that the injuries were a factor, but they kind of were. But at the same time, we also had a really bad head coach. And, yeah, I don't think I could have taken another year of Dennis Allen, to be honest with you with that. That's why I'm glad they got rid of him by then. Now we have an actual offensive-minded head coach that could hopefully turn this team around. So, but, yeah, so those are my thoughts on the Saints, current state of the on offense. So, but yeah, like, so let me go ahead and dive into some of my top 5 favorite Saints games of all times. And if I have a little time, I'll talk about the honorable mentions. So, my top 5 Saints games, and I'm gonna go now. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that I wasn't going to mention the Saints Super Bowl or the NFC Championship of 2009, and here's why. I think that's kind of like everybody's favorite games, and of course, I mean, it's understandable. We won the Super Bowl. That's always going to be that's gonna, for me. That's my ultimate favorite game. But you know, if I'm talking about just like regular season games, maybe a playoff game, then that's a little different. So here we're going to be specifically towards regular season games and maybe 1 or 2 playoff games, maybe. So and these are like nothing related to the Saints Super Bowl year run. So the first thing on my list would be the let's see here. My number 5 on my team, I'm going to start there, would be the Saints versus Redskins of 2009. This was the year that the Saints went to the Super Bowl. We were still undefeated, and we actually had our first challenger. Well, technically second, but because I remember the Falcons the week before gave us a bit of a fight, but we ended up winning the game in the end. Excuse me. But the Redskins, oh my gosh. The Redskins get, now, when I say Redskins, they're now called the Commanders, just letting y'all know that. But I still call them Redskins because Commanders are stupid. So, but the Redskins, they gave us they gave us hell, let's put it that way. Like, they came in, hands swinging in left and right, and we had problems trying to like get through them. But the thing that stuck out to me was, and everybody should know this, the Robert Meacham fumble recovery for a touchdown. Now you're like, okay, what the heck is that? Well, basically, Drew Brees was under pressure. He accidentally threw an interception, and they were about to run it back, and then Robert Meacham he swung around, and he just manhandles that linebacker or safety, whoever it was. And he strips the ball away, and he just runs away with the touchdown. It's the wildest play I've ever seen in my life. I've never, ever, ever seen something from a Saints game like that. And that's the one. That's in my top 5 because because of that one play specifically. That was the craziest play ever. Man, like anytime I see that, I'm just like, oh man, that's so awesome. And what's great is I got to meet the guy himself at this whole job back in the college, and he was such an awesome guy. Like, I even had to ask him, dude, what were your thoughts when you stripped that ball away during that Redskins game? And he was laughing about it, and he said, well, you know what? I was just going with the flow. Like, I saw the ball was stripped, I just took it, and I just ran. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. So that's number 5 on my list. Number 4. Number 4 would be Saints versus Falcons 2006. This one has a special place for in my heart, as it does for all of New Orleans, and here's why. This was the very first Saints game they had in the Superdome since Hurricane Katrina. And as we all know, Hurricane Katrina did significant damage to the city. It flooded the entire city. The levees broke and everything. I mean, I don't want to cause flashbacks for anybody, but it was a rough time for all New Orleans. Like, and it was uncertain if the Saints would ever play in New Orleans again at the time. So, like, there were talks about them moving to San Antonio permanently, and I'm thankful that Tom Brenson, may he rest in peace, didn't do such thing. He kept the Saints in New Orleans. He was determined to keep the Saints in New Orleans, even though he did flirt with the idea that the Saints could move to San Antonio because San Antonio had better resources and they could build him a brand new stadium. Well, New Orleans came through thick and thin, through the worst time in New Orleans history, and all of Louisiana history too. They came through and they were able to rebuild the Saints Superdome in 2006, and it came right on time for the third game of the year. This was the third game of the year for the Saints. Right in time for their most hated rival was the Atlanta Falcons, or should I say the Atlanta Fail Clowns. So, and that game was glorious. What the high note that I'm sure everybody knows is that when Steve Gleason he came in, blocked that punt, the chills I felt that game, and I was only 14 years old, when that happened. Like, I'm never gonna forget that. Like, that was a magical moment in that game, and I'm never gonna forget that, because that's a game you're not gonna forget. Like, you're finally home in the dome where you belong after the worst hurricane in New Orleans history came through and devastated the entire city, and you finally get to play home in front of your home team, your home crowd, and you beat the crap out of the Falcons. That just puts a mwah. So, never going to forget that one. So, but moving on, number 3, and this is a playoff game. This was the 2017 playoffs. We played against our division rival, the Panthers. Now, this one's number 3 on my list because I went to that game personally, and my God, the energy was skyrocket. Like, it was amazing. Like, it was just from start to finish, it was close, and it was so exciting. Even though it was a low-scoring game, but as most playoff games are, low scoring, but it was so filled with energy. Like, I literally lost my voice the entire next day because I was screaming so loud. And I was with my best friend Jose, who's part of the Idiots in the I Formation podcast, and my other friend Justice. And yeah, it was an amazing time. Like, oh my God, like, I'm not gonna forget that. And we played really well. Like, maybe we could play a little bit better, but we held the Panthers in check thoroughly. And at the time, they had Christian McCaffrey, they had Greg Olsen, they had some really good players, and of course they had Cam Newton too, who was he was the biggest pain in the butt for the Saints for almost a decade. And he was actually the Panthers' best player to this day, because they haven't been any good since then. So, but yeah, like, it's like that one's at number 3 for me because of the energy and the excitement, and we won. Of course, that was a big game for us because we won, and we were able to advance to the next round against Minnesota. And I don't want to bring this up again because, yeah, I think you all know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, yeah, sorry about that. So, so yeah, so like that's number 3 on my list. Number 4, and this one I kind of debated this one for a minute because this one could have been number 1 for me, but I have another number 1 in mind. So this is number 2, Saints versus Dolphins 2009. Oh my God, was this game nuts? Like you can't picture the worst start in any Saints game that you can possibly imagine, and still found a way to win. This game really proved that this Saints team was special that year, and there's a reason why they won the Super Bowl. It's because of this game, in my opinion. This game really told us how special this team was going to be. They literally were losing 24-3 at halftime. It was just terrible. Drew Brees could not get the ball off fast enough. He kept getting sacked. He was throwing picks, and then the Dolphins' offense was just running right through us. And then the Dolphins started making mistakes, and then we capitalized on the mistakes. The Saints' offense woke up just in time for us to like take over the game, and it still wasn't perfect because we still made mistakes in the second half. But what really sealed the deal was the two well, I won't call it back-to-back, but we had 2 pick sixes that really helped us out big time, and the Saints offense just carried on through the rest of the way. Man, like, the Dolphins they choked for one, but the Saints just were so resilient that year that they just continued to battle through, even if the circumstances were not ideal, and through adversity and all, like, they just pushed on through, and they won that game. They won that game 46-34 that year. It was crazy because when you're looking at the score 24-30, you think, oh, yeah, we're done. We're screwed. There goes our undefeated season. Nope. The Saints, they pushed on. They pushed on. So, but yeah, that game, in my opinion, is up there number 2. Now, this is the one, which is my all-time personal favorite, was Saints versus Giants 2015. Now, that year, the Saints were part of their 3-year 7-9 skid. This was the middle year of that. So it's like, why would you pick a game from one of those bad years? Well, this is the one game where it was the ultimate shootout that you could possibly think of. Both teams scored 40-plus points. Both teams had a combined 1,200 yards plus. Neither side committed very few turnovers and allowed very few sacks. It was just a bang, bang, bang. It's just like boom, boom, boom. It was the ultimate shootout. Drew Brees at his best, Eli Manning at his best. It was an amazing game to watch. Like, you were just on edge. Now, the one thing that we really determined was like both defenses just decided, yeah, if we ain't coming in, we're just going to just watch y'all just blast each other to bits. Both defenses sucked that day. So, and if that game wasn't evident enough, I don't know what is. But I love a really good offensive shootout. And that game really was up there for me. Like, it stunned. Like, that's the one game that really told me how good all Saints offense was. Like, that offense was so good. Now, there were so many other years, like 2011, I would say, had the very best offense. But that year, in 2015, we had a really good offense. But we just had a horrible defense. And I don't know how we won this game. I guess our defense finally decided, you know what, we're going to go ahead and make some stops here and there. And thank God we did. So, but yeah, that game for me is number 1 because it ended in the craziest shootout that I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, you can understand like how difficult it was for me to decide between that game and the Saints versus Dolphins 2009 game. So, but with that being said, like I'm gonna quickly cover some honorable mentions. I'm going a little over time here, but it's all right. But some honorable mentions. I put in Saints versus Texans 2011. That was a pretty solid game. Like it was a battle from the beginning to end. Texans gave us all they got, and they were one of the best teams at the time on the AFC in that year. But the Saints, they were better, and plus the Saints had just far better weapons than the Texans at the Texans had Andre Johnson and they had a few others, but we were a more competent offense than they were. Let's put it that way. So. And then the Saints versus Jets 2005. Now you're thinking, why would you pick a game from 2005, the year of Katrina? Here's why. This is in my honorable mentions because this has a special place in my heart. I couldn't put it in my top 5 because like I said, the year 2005 really, really sucked, and we lost 13 games and only won 3. This is actually one of 3 games we won, but this one was special because when all hope was lost and we're all going through Hurricane Katrina and everything, this game stood out to me because this game gave us hope that we can persevere even through the worst of things. And it was a low-scoring game. The Saints gave the Jets everything you got, and the Jets weren't that good either. But at the same time, we just did enough to where the Jets could not win the game against us. And it was a much-needed victory, too, because, like I said, 2005 was a terrible year. Katrina hit us. We were in the rebuilding process. And the one thing we really could use is a nice Saints win to keep us smiling while we go through problems and whatnot. And that, I'm not going to forget that because it really spoke out to me. It's like, this team can fight. And they've been fighting all year while they literally been traveling to every single team stadium, with the exception of a few games, all season long. They were traveling all year long because they had no home stadium to go to. Like, other than they did play a few games at LSU Stadium, which was at best in better condition, but it wasn't their home stadium. Plus, it was in Baton Rouge, and Baton Rouge was at the time getting hit by Hurricane Rita. That was, like I said, it was just not a good year for Louisiana in terms of hurricanes. So. But that one spoke out to me because that had a special place in my heart. It gave us a glimmer of hope that we can persevere and we are NOLA strong all the way through. And then we got Saints versus Niners, 2013. This one was wild because the Niners at the time were Super Bowl favorites. Now, they didn't make the Super Bowl that year, but they were a really, really good team. And the Saints were also a really good team. And we were both fighting for basically like playoff seedings at this point, and it was just blow for blow for defenses and offenses. But the Saints came out on top thanks to some really good defensive stops by the Saints defense. And but it's not among my top 5 because the Saints also didn't. The Saints didn't exactly play well, but I mean, you're not going to play well against a good team. It's just, like I say, it's blow for blow when good teams battle each other to death. But at the same time, it's in my honorable mention because I really enjoyed the game. It was really close, and the Saints won by a split second, and the Saints defense just really told the Niners, you're not walking in our house and taking a W from us. No, sir. And the Saints used to be rivals with the Niners, and you could feel the rivalry with the Niners. I have a really good friend. His name is Beto. He's a diehard Niners fan. If you're a Niners fan checking out this video, go check out his podcast. I believe it's called Niner Sickness Podcast. I can probably tag it in after this, but yeah, like he was just like he's a good friend of mine, and we were always talking trash with one another, and I don't remember if I met him at this. I met him in 2018, so I was talking about that game. He told me, "Look, dude, that game infuriated us, and while you guys have always sucked in our division at the time, you guys always gave us problems." It's like, well, couldn't be a rivalry without us causing problems, right? So yeah, that one has a special place in my heart too, but it's not among my top 5. So, but anyway, with that being said, that's all I got for this video. I'm sorry this is much longer than last week's video, but I just love talking football. So, but that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you haven't checked out the last video, go and check that out and like and subscribe to that as well. And I hope to catch you all soon. See y'all later. Do that, baby.
Super Bowl. Black